Hello, how is it going? As I'm recording this, it's the beginning of September and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling very chillish, if that's a word. Preparing for the fall. Um, yeah, August was extremely busy. I feel like I have been busy all summer long in different ways. And all of this is, things that I put onto myself and busy in the best way possible, doing all of the things that I love, whether it is homeschooling events and coordinating and creating fun things for my kiddos to do, spending time with my older children, or whether it is just meeting so many new people. And then, which I think is my favorite, just continuing to foster the relationships I do have. That is what this summer has been about. New experiences, stepping outside of my shell a little more, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and doing new things and being intentional with my time. So if I could sum up my summer, it has been that. And currently, I feel even more like, whew, ready for the fall because I just think it's been really busy August as far as events and travel. We literally have, on top of our schedule during the week, we have had so many events here in my city that I just had to be a part of. So many things from our Naptown DJ Fest, which was so dope. My children loved it. I loved it. Baby Got Brunch. That was really fun. You all can cook y'all behinds off here in Indy, right? There is a local group, African American Women in Indiana. We had our first tween sleepover. This was all in one weekend, by the way, right? Everything I just said. And then the following weekend, we went kayaking for the first time, my husband and I, we really were in canoes. Next time, we'll definitely go kayaking. But some of us kayaked, some of us canoed, and then there were tubes, went to Turkey Run. It was really fun and spent the day out there with some folks at the shop he works at and just team building and having fun, eating good. But that was also tiring. And then my husband has been in I feel like so many events for his art this month, which has been so fun to witness, but that requires, energy. Janae Aiko, I took my oldest daughter there. It was a vibe, but that was a 5-hour concert, followed by the very next day going to the Back to Adult Summer Camp event, a weekend long event with my husband with the Got Brunch podcast. Shout out to them. I've never been to anything like it, right? So I didn't have really high expectations. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but whatever I thought, they super exceeded all of that. It was so freaking fun, from the people to the activities that were available. Of course, because they are comedians and chefs, the food was amazing. They fed us all weekend. The activities, I haven't laughed so hard in forever. There was improv, there was live stand-up comedy, there was live bands, there was shout out to Draco and Sirius too, and Bobby. It was just so fun. I think I'm going to tag everybody. I'm going to tag all the things in the show notes, because if you are looking for a time, everything I'm talking about, you should be a part of. And then we just got off of a weekend 4-day event for my husband and everyone in Indy in the art space with Butter. My first year being there, and I'm just grateful for the space. Indy is a vibe. I have been saying this for years. I love living here, and we're just continuing to grow too. And I think the art space, the connections, the people, there's been such a big shift, and I'm just happy to be here, happy to be a part of it. And needless to say, September is a little bit on the slower end, and I feel my body and everything else going into kind of like a hibernation mode. But who am I kidding? I love to be out and do things, and so we'll see if anything actually changes or not. So that being said, let's talk about planning, how to create a plan. That's what I want to talk about today because I've shifted for September. If you're not following me on socials, I always give an update of my month. I love to be as transparent as possible around my personal goals. Yes, I am a coach and I can help you with anything that you have going on. However, I also get coached. I have several actually, and work on my own goals and have my own struggles. And so I wanted to talk about how to create a plan because that has come up in a lot of my open coaching. I am currently doing until throughout September, actually, every Wednesday night, open coaching where you come and we really create a safe space. We have had so much fun on this call to really just dive into the realness of what you're struggling with. What is going on with you? What do you want to be doing, but you're not? What actions do you know you need to take and you just can't bring yourself to do that? How are you feeling on a day-to-day basis? Maybe you have no idea what's going on. No matter what, I help you break it down. And so we, in this call, the folks who raise their hand, the vulnerability there, the safe space there, even the support from everyone there, we really are learning what's getting in our own way. And then, of course, if you've been in any open coaching space, you know that when someone else is getting coached, you also have the ability to as well, as long as you're intentional, because everyone's brains pretty much work the same. We may have different circumstances and things like that, but the things that get in the way are the same. So it's been so fun. This is my first time offering like an open group coaching in this space. I usually do a monthly workshop. And so the last 2 months, this will be my third month, has been open coaching once a week, and it has been fun. It has super exceeded my expectations of myself, of everyone showing up, and I'm just so grateful for everyone who's coming, who's sharing it with friends, the engagement, the vulnerability, because it's so helpful for all of us. Now, with that being said, what I have seen and also what I have did some self-coaching on myself is around like creating a plan, like making a solid plan that really sets us up for success. And so I wanted to talk about that because oftentimes when I'm talking to someone about a specific goal they have, when we get into, okay, what have you planned? Like what specifically do you want? What have you planned? And especially in my private coaching, it's very evident that there aren't really any specific plans, that things aren't very specific, and nothing has gone wrong. This is just one of the reasons why we're unable to reach our goals, because we aren't specific. We don't have that plan. We aren't able to know exactly what we want, what actions we need to take to get there, what might get in the way, like all these things. And I'm here to talk about that today. And so I'll start by saying that not everyone has goals. Like there are people who are cool where they are, and that's okay. Those are not the people I'm talking to. I personally believe that we all should be working towards something greater, whatever that might be. I think that, for me personally, and then in the spaces I'm in, we just, I have a more fulfilling life when I am working on something, when I am stretching my brain and pushing myself beyond the limits. And so I think that regardless what the goal is, it's not so much of the actual goal, but more so like what that we do have them, that we are working towards those. And I always tell my clients, like, even when we reach those goals, whatever specific goal you have right now, you're going to immediately have new ones, right? The human brain, like we're constantly looking for ways to evolve and experience more. So it's not about, oh, let me finish this goal so that I can just be done. It's really just about the stretch and the experience and the fulfillment from that, and then what comes out of it. And then for me, the more I grow, I honestly am able to like see myself have the power and the energy and the knowledge and expertise to help others do the same. So it's beautiful for me. And you're listening to this, so I know that you also have goals as well. So let's get started. Goals are amazing for many different reasons. They are beautiful to experience, to dream about. They are nice to have. They're fun to think about. They can be very invigorating. It's like a breath of fresh air, right? Or like a really big wish and a really big dream that just feels good to be in the energy of, right? Gives us something to work towards. It's like, having the to-do list, and like, I just feel so good just creating a to-do list. Like, I don't need to go any further. It just feels so good. Or when I'm planning a vacation or I'm planning something for the future, like I just get so much goodness from that. I love it. Checklist and like all the things and beautifying the list. And girl, it's just, I love it so much, right? And if you are an Enneagram fan, I'm an Enneagram 7, which a lot of us sevens, we like to get away from pain and all those things and get into the future. We love the future, like what's to come, what's the plan. And I used to really live in that before I found coaching, and I learned that yes, planning and being in the future is amazing, but by doing that, I was really missing a lot of my life and experience, and because I was never truly present. So I'm grateful that I've been able to hone that in, but there's still a part of me that just loves so much that future planning of things. And we can talk in another podcast about why the brain loves to be in that space, like just the planning phase. But what I like to offer here is that planning, dreaming, envisioning, right? All of that goodness, it won't actually bring our goals to fruition. We'll just continue to think and ponder and have fun, and this feels great, and one day, but we won't actually reach it. And that's why I think that having a solid plan is very important. We've heard the saying before, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Now, as cliche as that sounds, it's actually true, right? We can talk all day long about the things that we want and all of that, but if we don't have something specific in mind of how we're going to create that, that's all it is. It's a dream, it's words, it feels good, and there's reasons for that. When we're sitting and we're planning something, and we're planning our future, we have this goal, we're planning how to reach it. We're using our prefrontal cortex from my nursing days. I'm pretty sure that's it. That part where in our brains is used to plan and decision making and those kinds of things. It has our best interests in mind. It's the part of you that can say, okay, I know I want to lose weight. I know that me getting more physically active is good for my body. I know that I've been spending too much on Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like, it's that part that can think like, okay, this isn't serving me, and let's figure something out. A plan also helps you to answer questions, right? Like, there's a million things you could be doing, right? And I'm sure that you probably have more than one goal, but what's the priority? How do we put those in place? What results do I really want? What does that look like? What's required to reach those results, right? What are the obstacles? And so creating a plan also, for me, creates this space where like I'm decided. Like, have you ever had something that you've been pondering about and thinking about and you're spinning in indecision? That's a different energy than being decided. Like, I did that with coaching for a while. I started, I stopped, and then there was like a year or so where I was like, well, I don't want to call myself a coach. I just help people, or just kind of like in this space of like, I don't know, should I? That energy was so different than the moment I said, you know what, I'm getting out of my own way. I have value to bring to this world. I've reached and accomplished some things. I'm going to help people do the same. Like, you can just see in the words and like how I'm saying it, it's a different energy. So when you create a plan, it's the same thing. You're decided. You've now made it real. Okay. Now, what's the problem with not having a plan? When you don't have a plan and you just have these goals, everything is up in the air, right? You're leaving it up to your primitive brain, that part of you that never wants to see you do anything that requires any amount of energy. That part of you is like, listen, let's hop on Netflix, let's get some Ben and Jerry's, let's scroll on social. We can get to that tomorrow, right? If you don't have a plan, then you're leaving everything up to that part of you. And so if you've been experiencing like, oh man, I've been wanting to do that, and then you get in your own way, you don't actually take the action, I can guarantee it's because you don't have a solid plan, and because that primitive part of you is what's driving the bus. You're allowing that part that never wants to do anything hard, anything that requires energy, anything new, anything different, even if it serves you, it's never going to opt into that. You're allowing that to drive the car. So you can see how this is a problem. We never actually reach any of the goals that we want. So it's clear that if you have goals and you want to reach them, you must have a solid plan. Okay. Also, some other benefits of having a plan is really it helps you see things from all sides. When you take a moment and you're able to kind of zoom out on your goal and really give yourself time to think about it and the things we're getting ready to talk about, you get to see like, okay, what will be the obstacles? You give yourself time and space and like the energy, the thought energy to think about the obstacles and prepare for like when it might be tough to work towards those things. When you don't have a plan, you don't have a foundation. Nothing is solid. It's kind of like, yeah, well, one day, one day I want to do that. Yeah, one day I'm going to buy a house, right? Girl, I got to get this weight off, right? Or, I want to travel. I want to go see such and such. There's a conversation you need to be having, but you haven't had it yet. And you know that you could have had it, right? Maybe you want to start getting out and meeting new people and really just experiencing life in different ways. Maybe you want to hop back in the dating scene, right? Maybe you want to just create different things in your life, setting boundaries with people, saving more money, right? Deciding to just live differently in any kind of way. Those are all amazing goals. But if you don't have a plan and make it concrete and be decided, that's all they will be. It's just goals. And this is how people can go 20 and 30 years and still be talking about the same thing. It's very easy for it to happen when we aren't being solid, decided, and we're allowing that primitive part of our brains to kind of drive the bus. So, how to create a solid plan. I know that you have heard of SMART goals. Those are very important. You want your goal to be specific. Let's see. SMART stands for specific, measurable. I think it's accurate, realistic, and time. I think I got it right. But needless to say, I don't really like the realistic part because when you're working on a goal, it's probably not going to be realistic. There's many things that people have goals for that doesn't. Realistic usually means like logical. Can it possibly happen? Right? When people created Uber, when Amazon became your thing, like that was very illogical. It was very delusional. Like, what do you mean I will be able to hop on my phone and order something that comes to my house the next day, sometimes same day, right? What do you mean there's going to be strangers that are going to drive me around somewhere? Like what? Right? So those are very illogical. So I say SMART goals because I know that's what we're all used to. But the whole point is you want your goal to be super specific. So instead of saying, I want to lose weight, how much weight do you want to lose and by when? Right? I want to save more money. How much? By when? For what? I want to pay my car off. How much do you have to pay? By when? How much is that going to require for you to pay each week? Those kinds of things. Like be super specific. You want it to be measurable. You want, when you tell me the goal, for it to be very clear. I'm going to do XYZ by XYZ. Okay? So we want to create an action plan. When you think of your goal I like to work it backwards. We think of you having that result already and take yourself to the space of already having that goal. We're guessing, right? Because we haven't done it yet. You don't really know what it's going to require for you to reach your goals. But if you tap into that part of you that knows, that part of you that can plan for the future and has your own back, you can think, okay, I'm going to be using weight loss because that's what I'm working on. But insert your goal. I want to lose 5 pounds this month. So by the end of September, I want to have celebrated that I lost 5 pounds. Like that's my result. That's very specific. 5 pounds by September 30th. Okay. So I work that backwards and create my action plan. What on September 30th will I be celebrating having done in order to lose 5 pounds? For me, that's focusing on proteins and veggies and fiber and low sugar fruits in my diet. That's not eating when I'm not hungry, right? That is me planning what I'm going to eat ahead of time or sticking to what I've decided I'm going to eat. When I eat off plan, planning ahead for that. That is me feeling some emotions, and I'll talk about that in a minute, right? That's me putting a grocery order in so that I actually have food here ready to prepare. That's me focusing on all the foods I can have versus the foods I am quote unquote not having. Like taking my brain to a space where I can see all these different options I have and enjoy them. Like that's part of my action plan. That's what I will have to do. And then weighing myself and evaluating. Evaluations are so important. So I'll add that to the action plan too. Evaluating what went well, what didn't, and what am I going to do differently like each day. So that I'm not going 15 days and just not even following a plan and not evaluating and just forget it like I've been doing, right? And so that's my action plan. That's what's going to be required for me to reach that goal. So you want to take yourself to kind of like the finish line, right? And tap into your future self that has already reached it. That version of me that's 5 pounds lighter on September 30th, she's already here, ready, willing for me to tap into. And I know it might sound a little woo-woo, a little crazy, but if you try it, I had a coach walk me through this, and it was very, very powerful. When I quieted my mind, I closed my eyes, and I really tapped into my future self and asked questions, answers came back to me. So try it. So if you reach this goal, what would you have had to have done to reach it? That's your action plan. We're going to keep your goal specific, and we want to be specific with your actions. What does that look like? Now, if you've been around, then you know that all of our actions are driven by emotions, right? So when I feel overwhelmed, I give up. I don't put my energy into things. When I'm motivated and focused, I can keep going. I can feel negative emotion and still take the action. When someone's anxious, like how do you show up when you're anxious? What are the things you do? What do you don't do? When you're sad, when you're hurt, when you're feeling deprived, like these different things, they drive our actions. And so I have to think, okay, what energy do I have to be in order to take those actions? For me, it's 100% driven, 100% motivated, 100% focused, empowered, confident, certain. There's so many different ones. So I want to know ahead of time, what emotions can I create in my body to help me continue to take those actions? And then when you think about that, okay, if I need to feel confident that I can do this, what am I going to have to believe? Because emotions come from what you believe. So what thoughts am I putting my energy into? What beliefs am I having, or that I need to have in order to create certainty, confident, that kind of thing? For me, is I can do this. This is possible. Losing weight is simple, right? Because on the contrary, it's so hard. I don't have the time. I'm a mom. I have a business. It's just too much to meal prep. Like, these thoughts are all available to me. But thinking the latter is probably going to create some overwhelm, some defeat, some deprivation, as it has been. And then I take action from that, which looks like I give up. I start and I stop. I do a little bit. I don't allow myself to just feel those emotions and take my action anyway. So you want to tap into, what do I need to believe about myself in order to feel this feeling, to take these actions? And so if I take all of that and I just start from the top, you have a goal, right? You have a result you want to create. What actions do you need to take in order to reach those goals? That goal, I was be specific with each plan, one goal. What do you need to feel? What feeling will drive you to do that? It might be grounded, focused. So many different feelings we can tap into. What do you need to be believing in order to feel that? Because when I have a belief and when I give energy to a thought, it creates an emotion in my body. That's with everything. Every emotion you have, even if you're unable to identify it, comes from something you're believing, something you're giving energy to. Every single time. Understanding this can be the most powerful thing for you, because what it did for me was gave me all of my power. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't feel negative emotion. You're going to feel negative emotion 50% of the time because you're a human being. It's totally fine. But it allowed me to see that, oh, I'm feeling this way because of what I'm thinking. Now I can decide to keep those thoughts, no problem. But it gave all the power back to me versus what was happening outside of me. And this is how in coaching, your circumstances don't have to change and you can feel differently. And I walk my clients through what this looks like. It's the most powerful thing that you could ever experience if you're wanting to take control of your life, if you're wanting to live a life on your own terms. It was the best thing that I ever learned. By far, I would say, for sure. So we have that plan. That is simply what the plan is, essentially, in a nutshell. You have a goal. You know what you need to do to reach that goal. You know what you need to believe and how you need to feel in order to continue day in, day out, taking those actions, recommitting to the goal every day, sometimes every minute if you have to. Now, some things I want to talk about is some obstacles. What you also want to do is plan for them. You want to plan for what's been getting in the way. What would get in the way? So in my weight loss goal, definitely an obstacle is being hungry and not having the foods that serve my weight loss goal handy. Because I don't want to be hungry and my brain seems to think I need to fix that immediately. So that's one obstacle for me. Feeling deprived, my brain is not like that at all, but do anything to get out of it. most negative emotions, actually, because I've learned over time and through childhood to use food to help soothe those emotions. And so my second obstacle is really to plan for what negative emotions come up that I instantly want to go to food, right? When I make a mistake, the perfectionist part of me wants to just give up. So that's an obstacle. When I fall off, right? When I say I wasn't going to eat that cookie and I do, how am I talking to myself? What am I thinking? Oh, here you go again, just another cycle. Forget it. Like, I'm going to have to plan for those negative thoughts that have held me back in the past. So I know those obstacles, what emotions am I going to have to feel? In order for me to lose 5 pounds by the end of the month, I will have to be willing to feel deprived, to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, even irritated, entitled. I would have to be able and willing to feel those emotions and take the action anyway. So I know that ahead of time. I'm priming my brain for that. I'm making that a part of my action plan. So for you, think about the goal that you have. What has gotten in the way in the past? Add that to your action plan, right? I'm going to have to be willing to feel these emotions. When I do slip up, I'm going to have to be willing to catch myself and have self-compassion. Like, all of these things, whatever obstacles got in the way, they now become part of your action plan to overcome, to reach your goals. So what's getting in the way? What's gotten in the way in the past, right? Be very specific, be honest, have love and compassion for yourself. We just do this work with curiosity, and you just make that part of the action plan. Some things I want you to watch for. Our brain loves to be confused. As long as you're confused, you don't have to actually decide and make a plan and move forward. But guess what? You can actually be confused and still take action. Confused is an emotion. It's coming from what you're thinking. So you can feel that confusion, allow it, right? We don't need to resist or avoid or push things away. Allow it, and then decide, how do I want to show up in this moment? Feel that negative emotion. Remember, negative emotions, all emotions come from a thought. Identify what it is. When you do give in, when you do fall off, when things don't go as planned, make your brain decide or figure out why. So for example, if I said I was going to eat a salad and I decided to binge an ice cream, why? What was happening in the moment? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? Like, allowing myself to really get in there and create the awareness around what's happening. This is how you begin to understand your brain, begin to look at it from a bird's eye view, and begin to say, oh, okay. So next time I need to, just like for me in that instance, it might be, I wanted a salad, but there was ice cream that sounded better. I wanted it and I felt entitled, and so I ate it. I was feeling deprived. It might be then for me like, oh, okay, tomorrow I'm going to create a space for me to feel deprived the next time that happens with love and compassion. Nothing has gone wrong. You want to be able to do that. So knowing ahead of time that this will happen is going to be helpful in the moment when it's happening. Also, check your beliefs around what you think reaching your goal or the journey to your goal should be like, right? You've never actually reached this goal, so you have no idea what the experience is going to be like. But our brain loves to say what it should be. Oh, it shouldn't be this hard. These things shouldn't be happening. And so think about that ahead of time so you can catch that in the moment and realize, like, no, actually, what's happening is exactly what should be happening because it's happening. I can argue with the past and what's been going on and what's going on now all day long, and it's not going to change the fact. So I just try not to even subscribe to shoulds as much as possible. Not being specific. When you're not specific on your goals, how you know this is happening is you're not very clear on what you need to be doing. You're not very clear on what having that result will look like. Giving up in the moment when it gets tough. Even if this happens, that's a moment. You can decide the very next second, I'm back on, right? This is what happens when we have a goal and we're doing great, and then we fall off, and our brain loves to think, oh, you're not perfect. It didn't happen perfectly. You fell off. Forget it. Let's try again next time. And so for me, how this shows up is I have this perfect plan, and I'm planning for only perfection. And the moment I fall off, I say, forget it. And I don't weigh myself. I don't think about my diet for another 2 weeks. It doesn't serve you. The moment You fall off, you do something that it doesn't serve you, you beat yourself up, you step into perfectionism. Give yourself grace, love, and compassion. Allow that moment, and then get right back on the horse, period. No questions asked. I'm right back on it. I don't need to wait till next week, next month, right now. So in order to do all this, you must have curiosity. It's an energy. When you're curious about something, you're not judging it. You're just like, like leaning in, like very interested. Like, wow, wonder why did that happen? That's interesting. Ooh, I caught that thought. Where did that come from? Do I want to be thinking that? Is this even true? When you're curious, you tap into so much unknown information about you, the world around you, why you react the way you do, why you do the things you do. Self-compassion. Many of us have to learn this skill of being compassionate towards ourselves, usually because we didn't get this on a regular basis as children. So then we just became that critic. It's not a problem. You can learn to be self-compassionate. How I like to offer my clients is to think about if it was your child or someone you really love that you would never beat up. How would you react to that person in that moment? And just take that on. Borrow those thoughts, borrow those words until it starts to become second nature for you. Now, the last part I'm going to leave you with is evaluating. And I believe I'm going to do a separate podcast on this to go deeper into this, but evaluations are key to long, consistent, and permanent change where you actually become this person. I actually become a person that doesn't use food to manage emotions and all that, right? I've gotten so much better, but there's so much work to be done as well. I become the person that's 50 pounds lighter, not that I've lost weight and I'm gaining back and I'm just this person. And so evaluating allows you to do that. And I'll share quickly how to do that. It's very simple. What went well? What didn't go well? And what will you do differently? Depending on your goal, you may want to do this, especially if it's time management or something like that. You may want to do this on a daily basis so that you can catch things in real time. What went well? Make your brain go there. Your brain will want to go with what didn't go well very quickly. It's very good at that. We don't have to train it to do that. We have to train our brains to look for what went well. It doesn't matter either how small it is, right? For me, that might be, I decided what I was eating this morning for the entire day, even if I don't follow it at all, right? I did my evals each night, even if I didn't change anything the next day. I had 2 cookies instead of the 10 I usually have, like whatever. You want to do this so that you can start to prime your brain to look for the ways that you are creating change. We have to do this on a consistent basis. We have to look for evidence that what we're working towards is possible. What didn't go well? No judgment. Just simply what didn't work out the way I wanted it to. In what areas and what cases on this goal did I not really show up in the way that I know I need to in order to reach my goal? And then what are you going to do differently? We put that on with the lens of just like a detective. Like, okay, I noticed that I said I was going to meal prep and every day at 9 a.m., let's say, for the entire day. And I never did. Okay, I wonder why not. Getting curious about that. And maybe that just is a horrible time for me. Kids are up, they're in my ear, they're in my face. And to do that every day, it's just overwhelming. It creates stress. And so I might say, okay, what am I going to do differently about that? I am going to have 1 day a week that I plan. Or I'm going to change the time. Be very specific. Everything that you list in your what didn't go well, and I wouldn't go crazy with that. I would just pick a couple things. You don't want to go overdo it. That would create overwhelm. Those couple of things that you have decided didn't go well, you want to then in your what are you going to do differently? You want to have a solution for that. How will you fix that for tomorrow or the next time? So this has been fun. I hope that it's been very helpful. If you struggle to create a plan, confusion just gets in the way, you're not sure where to start, you're struggling with what's a priority for you, you have a goal, but you just don't have the belief that it's even possible. You haven't been able to bring yourself to create a plan. Maybe you have a plan and you're struggling to actually take the action. You find yourself in the moment where it's time to take the action, doing something else every time, and you're unable to get out of your own way. This is where coaching can be beautiful. The value of coaching is to help you really figure out what is getting in the way of what you want. whatever it is that you want. If you can think about it, if you can dream it, if you decided it, you can have it. We just need to get your thoughts and your beliefs about you and your actions and everything in alignment with the version of you that has that goal. And sometimes that's a simple click in thought and thinking differently and showing up and following a podcast episode and doing the work. Sometimes we need a little bit more support. I want you to reach out to me. Let's set up a time to have a conversation and talk about it and talk about what this may look like, what working with me would look like, and how I can help you not only create a solid plan, know exactly what you need to be doing to reach those goals, but also become the person that takes consistent action, which is required in order to reach your goals. Open Coaching Wednesdays are happening throughout September, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can register in the links in the show notes. Enjoy this beautiful beginning of the fall, and I'll see you next time. Bye.